Hi, I just came across a couple of podcasts where people were talking about a fellow called Mark Levy, L-E-V-Y, who is apparently into what he calls free writing. And I looked at that and I thought, goodness gracious me, I was into that over 50 years ago. Over 50 years ago, and I'm still into it. I called it automatic writing, which eventually became automatic typing. When I tried to put out my books to publishers over 50 years ago, they would go, woo woo, we're not into that stuff. Here's the first book I ever wrote. I had it printed, never published. And it's an interesting book. And I'm thinking to myself, this is what you might call high-level creativity. But we're not doing the creating. We're just the channel. We are channeling information coming from other dimensions. And sometimes very high dimensions. When I first started off, my writings were pretty mundane. And then of course I got onto relatives, dead relatives, and friends. And then of course came the more important people, the celebrities. And you think, well, I'm making this up. But in each time, no, this is really me. This is really me, Tom. And then eventually we get to the highest level, I think. And I think I've been on that for some time now. And I refer to the highest level that comes to me as coming from my highest self. My highest self. The part of me which still resides in heaven. Because apparently we human beings are like just fingers dipped into the stream of life, where the real us is sitting on the bank in another dimension entirely. But I thought I'd mention this. I felt almost indignant. Well, I do feel indignant that after all these years, people still won't accept automatic writing as coming from something deeper than what they call this amorphous, our subconscious mind. Of course it comes from our subconscious mind, because our subconscious mind at the deepest level is linked to every other subconscious mind. You could call it the collective unconscious. And this is where we get our super duper ideas from. We might flatter ourselves that we think them up. We don't. All we need is willingness. Willingness and perhaps some sort of training in to be able to do this. Creativity. Being creative. There are many, many levels of being creative. Put a couple of blocks together and make a pattern, that's being creative. Inventing the light globe, the light bulb, is a higher level indeed. And creating miracles of healing, probably the highest of all. We live in an infinite, unfathomable depth of universes. Our little centre of consciousness with a will which we identify as ourselves, along with our mind elements, it's just a fraction of the whole. But I'm certainly getting away from automatic writing here. But if you're willing, if you're open to it, if you're open to what the universe can give to you, and don't just say it's woo-woo, because the moment you say it's woo-woo, you're placing another brick in the wall of the ego shell which surrounds us. We all have this ego, this facade, this fearful thing that just can't take criticism, likes pats on the back, That's not the real us. The real us is something far deeper than that. I call it unconditional love, infinite joy, deep compassion, and certainly infinite understanding. That is what we all are at the deepest level. We can bring much of that to the surface if we're open-minded, if we're willing. And even then, we might be trying to change other people, but unless they're open-minded, unless they're willing, they'll be simply drawing up the drawbridge. All we can really work on is ourself. When our self reaches other people, our real self, the true self, the loving self, I think we draw the right people to us. And hopefully, if we were a teacher, and I feel I'm a teacher now, then the right people will be drawn to us at the right time.